Okay, here we go. Um, Hello, Mew. How are you? I appreciate you guys asking me to do this. That's very kind of you. Um, it's yeah, it's flattering. So I appreciate that. Um, right. Let's just get right to it because I'm awkward enough in real life, so I'll try not to be awkward in this video as much as humanly possible. Your questions. Matthew Polaris Reyes asks, who is your favorite Mew member besides me? Also, are you inspired by Lil B, the bass to God? Favorite Mew member. That's hard. I don't know if you guys know this, but I get so many notifications from Mew, and I tried to turn them off once, and they came back suddenly, and so I'm constantly getting updates from Mew, and I read all the threads, and I don't know, it's become a huge time suck for me in a good way, I guess, in an enjoyable way. Um, I like all the greats. Bilal, really fun to read. Um, Ann Serber just moved to Wesleyan. Congrats. We got Alex Ford, of course. We got, of course, Matthew here. Classic. Um, the whole Willem fiasco. Amazing. I don't even know what to say. You're all beautiful people, and I enjoy reading the stuff you post online. Yeah. Am I inspired by Lil B the Bass God? No, sorry. He's interesting. He's a really interesting force in the universe. But I don't actually listen to music, as I've said. I don't know. So, but I'm sure I will. I'm sure when he publishes a book, I'll buy it and I'll read it. Ryan Bridges asks, is Skrillex dubstep or bro step? And what is bro step? Is Skrillex dubstep? I don't know. To be honest, the whole dubstep thing kind of left me behind. I really liked Burial, that Untrue Burial record. I really liked that record. I heard that was dubstep when it first came out, so I was like, cool. Dubstep is this like really melancholy, sort of almost minimalist electronic music. Uh, I've I haven't really listened to a whole lot of it, but nothing else I've heard sounds like that. So apparently, I just like Burial, and I don't really know what dubstep is. Skrillex has won musical awards, and I haven't. So he's got to be doing something right, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was at a gym and they were playing it and dudes were working out and I think those dudes were bros, so I would assume that it's bro step. And just the word saying the word bro step makes me laugh. So thanks for bringing that up. In answer, I don't know. This is going to be a horrible. This whole thing is going to be horrible. By the way, uh, I wish I was more like Anthony Fantano. I thought his went really well. This is going to be a disaster. Um, okay, more. Sebastian Christopher Burgess asks, your Giles Corey album inspired me to be more open with my feelings through music. I know a lot of your story, but is there an exact reason why you're so depressed at the time? And is any of Death Consciousness fueled by the same feelings? Um, I'll take the last part first. Death Consciousness, the Navyalar self-titled record, and the Giles Corey record, to me, are all one thing. Um, we joke that it's a trilogy, but to me, they all deal with the same part of my life, sort of this really kind of 5-year period. Um, Death Consciousness was written right after my father died. He died of a heart attack very suddenly. Um, and Have a Nice Life had been around before then, and some of that material was around before he died. But what most people think of as Have a Nice Life, the sound of that music, the kind of sort of new wave influences, the sort of depressing tone of it, really started right after that time. So Death Consciousness is about that. Navyalar is about the period immediately following Death Consciousness, which is really when I experienced a really dark, um, sort of depressing period of my life where I felt very hopeless. Um, and in that sort of time in my life, the relationship I had with the woman I loved kind of fell apart. Um, and Giles Corey is kind of about that aspect of it. And so those things are all connected for me. All those events in my life feel like the same event. Um, and so those records kind of deal with that period. And to me, they're all fueled by the kind of same uh, emotional states. I think they all kind of show a different part of what being depressed is really like. Um, so yeah, that's a good question. I hope people are open with their emotions and music. It's why music is important to me, and I think it's what makes music good. Um, Liam Shepard asks, "Where did your inspiration for Death Consciousness come from, and do you have any future plans for Giles Corey?" Um, I kind of answered part of that. My inspirations for Death Consciousness were, besides my emotional state and what was going on in my life, I took a trip to Europe the year before we started working on Death Consciousness a lot, and that's kind of what influenced a lot of the imagery and sort of medieval stuff that kind of goes through that record visually. But then inspirational in terms of music, I mean, my big influences are Sisters of Mercy, Joy Division, White Bloody Valentine, Smiths. Those bands are the bands I've listened to more than probably any other band other than Nirvana when I was in middle school or high school or whenever it came out. I love everything those bands did, and their aesthetic has a huge effect on me. Um, but that said, I kind of came to those bands late in life, so it's interesting. To be honest, I don't know where a lot of my musical touchstones come from. None of the music I really listened to as a kid or growing up really sounded like that, but those are the big influences on that record, definitely. Willem Lockhart asks, what is your standpoint on the intentional use of lo-fi or hi-fi? And what would you consider to be a piece of underproduction as well as overproduction? Please give an example of both. My standpoint on the intentional use of lo-fi or hi-fi. Obviously, a lot of the stuff we make at Enemies List is very lo-fi, and that's primarily because of expense and because that's what we know how to do. But with that said, I don't think we had infinite money that I would make music that sounds completely different. I think that as recording techniques all have a place. They all have a time where it's appropriate, a time when, anything you can do production-wise can improve or detract from the message that the music is trying to convey from the musical ideas that are kind of hidden in that, and it all kind of depends. I mean, to be totally honest, there might come a point where we need to make a really hi-fi recording in order to accurately or adequately, I should say, express a musical idea. I don't know how to do that even if I wanted to, so it's sort of not an issue. But there's a time and place for everything in music, even things I don't particularly respond to most of the time, just personally. An example of underproduction and overproduction. Obviously, all of our stuff is really underproduced, and there's a lot of. I mean, this is sort of a cop out to talk about our own stuff, but a lot of people comment on how shitty our recording is, and it is. And sorry, that's all I know how to do. The room that I'm in right now is where all of our music is recorded, although Death Consciousness was actually recorded in. I hadn't moved here yet, but same setup. In fact, a lot of Death Consciousness was recorded through the pinhole mic in my laptop because I didn't know any better. And so yeah, I get why people don't like that, but it is what it is. In terms of overproduction, I mean, I think most pop is overproduced. Um, Pretty much anything you'll hear on the radio is overproduced. It's overproduced to the point where it doesn't feel real. There's no emotional impact for me because it doesn't sound like anyone can breathe in those songs. And it's just not a style I relate to. Bit of a cop out answer, but as I mentioned before, I know nearly nothing about music and have heard a tiny fraction of the bands that you guys have heard. So sorry. Um, Moving on. Aaron Sheehan asks, "Are you ready for the roughneck bass?" Always, always, please. I'm ready. I was born ready. Gerardo Martinez asks if you could see, excuse me, if you could see any artist, dead or alive, naked, which one you could choose? If I could see any artist naked, if I could see any artist naked, maybe if I just repeat the question to myself, an idea will come to me. Um, you know who I kind of have a thing for is Anais Nin. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's sort of like an author, kind of hung out in that cool kind of Paris, uh, like 50s kind of thing. It's kind of hanging out with Henry Miller. Um, she is a sexy lady in terms of she's attractive, but even her books are like really sensual. It was kind of a thing for her. So Anais Nin, that's my answer. Um, okay. That was Gerardo Martinez. I said that, right? Yeah, sure. Bilal Arya asks, Arya? Bilal Arya asks, what is your opinion on the furry and pony fandom, and have you ever fapped to furries? I have never fapped to furries. What is my opinion on it? The My Little Pony thing is weird. I actually work at an after-school program part of the day, every day, and one of the kids, and this is like seventh grade, so a seventh grade girl had a Brony shirt. Uh, and I was kind of like, I kind of did this, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Your shirt." I don't know. Uh, to each his own, man. Human sexuality is varied and diverse, and I'd say go for it. If you like it, go for it. Brogan Lurgit and Zach Gorman ask, what is your dream collaboration? My dream collaboration. Of course, I would love to work with Morrissey. I feel like it would be a complete disaster. But I just think it would be you'd have the best stories to tell. Because, of course, it's going to be horrible. And it's like you're just going to have stuff to talk about forever, right? I'd like to do something with Aaron Turner from Hydra Head, who I actually talk with every now and then. And he was actually, we were just starting out. He was really supportive of us, and kind of like every now and then when I have a question about running a label or something, I kind of ask him. He's an awesome dude. He would be really cool to work with. I hope this sound is registering on this thing. As I've mentioned, I know nothing about recording sound. So I hope it's working out. Okay, Melvin Valiente asks, I'm sure you've encountered many hardships during your lifetime. Has there ever been someone in your life who's the single most motivating force in your life? Why that person? Someone in my life who's really motivating me, who's big motivation to me. I'm not sure if is this talking about artists or people in my life, like actual people that I know. Um, there are people that I know. Um, for example, I'll take a there's a guy I know named Jimmy Patterson. Right, he's a friend of he was a younger brother of a really good friend of mine in high school, and he was just from the second I met him to now just obsessed with making films. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to be a filmmaker, and I've never met anyone that was as driven or as single minded as him, and completely confident, like no self doubt whatsoever. I mean, I am like this weird balance of really driven to do stuff and then completely convinced that I'm incapable of doing anything, right? And that balance is kind of holds me back all the time. And this kid had none of that. He has none of that self doubt, none of the worry. He just goes 100% all the time, and right for what he wants. And I always found that to be inspiring, even though he's so much younger. It's kind of like he's really committed. Um, I also remember kind of being in high school and reading kind of Henry Rollins written stuff and kind of getting a sense of what it means to be dedicated to something and what it kind of means to throw other parts of your life away to pursue that thing, which is what it's about. That, yeah. So in terms of people, my dad too. Although maybe that's cheesy because he's dead, and but yeah, I know a lot of really cool people. My brothers are awesome. So um, thanks. Okay, I just said thanks. Like there's no one here. Yeah, all right. Here we go. Still going. Try not to be awkward. Edvard All asks, what do you feel about the post second wave sonic revival? The post dash second wave sonic revival. Is it forced and obnoxiously ironic, or is it brilliantly subtle on the verge of being the best meme ever? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this pressing matter. I don't know. I gotta be honest. I don't know what this question is asking about. I'm gonna just be completely own up to my ignorance. But nothing is the best meme ever, because the second it becomes popular, it's unfunny, right? You start to see it everywhere. So I'm gonna stick with that. That sounds like an intelligent answer, so I'm gonna go with that. Connor Keeney asks, how do you feel about internet piracy, specifically how it relates to artists like yourself doing things on a small label run by the artists? Here's the deal with piracy in general. Piracy is good for people who are widely unknown, and becomes progressively more damaging the more that everyone already knows about you. So Coldplay, for example, loses a ton because of piracy. Enemies List, on the other hand, almost no matter how many people steal our stuff, we're still selling a lot more stuff than we ever would without that kind of really widespread spreading of the music. The deal with piracy is that it's just a fact of the universe now that anything that can be digitized you can find for free online. And so you as a label or as a band have to realize that and compete with free products. That's just how it is. And so to me, it doesn't matter if someone downloads Death Consciousness. It really doesn't matter to me. In fact, it's good, right? It's one more person that's going to know about our band or our music or our label or our philosophy or whatever it is. But at the same time, we need somebody to buy stuff from us in order to keep it going. And so the way we try to set that up is that we make really good, cool physical products or value-added digital products, right? So, if you want to support us and buy a digital record, it's $5. It's super cheap. It's easy to get, you know, whatever. But we try to make the physical products really fun, really invested with a lot of effort. You know, it's like Jazz Corey came with a book. Death Consciousness came with a book. You know, it's like we're trying to do things that make people want to buy the physical product after they have the free one, the digital one that you got from some blog somewhere, right? And that's largely what's been happening with all our releases. It's that the more we spread that thing online, the more physical products we sell. So, you know, like I said, if you're a huge corporation, yeah, you're losing millions of dollars. But if you're a small label like us, it's only good. But you have to do good work. You know what I mean? You have to make a quality product that people actually want to buy. And if you don't, then yeah, it's not going to work out for you. But it wasn't going to work out for you anyway in that case. Okay. Kelly Graham. Kelly Graham, I should have mentioned her in the favorite users doodle in the beginning. Kelly Graham asks, how do you feel about the response to Death Consciousness? Most people really, really loving it, that is. I am constantly bewildered, and it blows my mind, to be totally honest. We pressed 100 to start, and I really, really believed that there would be, say, 80 in my mom's basement right now. Instead, I am actually constantly struggling to keep up with orders and with people wanting to know more about the record and wanting to know more about us. It's incredibly gratifying and amazing. And I don't hear what other people hear in it. I only ever hear the mistakes and the fuck ups and the things we could have done better and the things we could have spent more time on. But there's a lot of emotion in that record. There's a lot of feeling in that record, and I still get that when I listen to it. And I hope that that's what other people are getting from it too. And again, totally amazing and gratifying. Simon Yoel. Do you feel limited when making albums at home instead of in a studio? No. It's all I know. I mean, I have recorded in studios. Like I used to be in a band called In Pieces. We recorded in studios. But recording at home is all I really know. And the beauty of recording at home is that you can take time. For me, songs go from usually like hummed ideas like on an iPhone or just kind of recorded into the computer to rough versions that get worked on over time, and I'll have part of a song and Tim will come over and kind of work on that song a couple weeks later, and it gives you this it gives you this opportunity to really develop songs as you develop as a person as time goes by, and I wouldn't trade it. If someone wanted to pay me a ton of money to record in a studio, that would be fun. And I mean, I'm not against studios. I just think that home recording opens up an entirely new way to write and share and experience music that needs more attention, right? So it's not anti-studio, but it's pro home recording, and I love it. I love it as it is. Cameron K asks, how much do you love How I Beat Shaq by Aaron Carter? Actually, it's pretty awesome. I do kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. Luke Frazier asks, what are your God tier albums that made you want to make music? God tier albums. Yeah. The records that made me want to be in a band were like Nevermind, Bleach, like those Nirvana records. I listened to Joy Division, actually didn't like it. I didn't like Ian Curtis's voice, and heard the record a couple years later, heard Unknown Pleasures a couple years later and was completely blown away by it. Just completely demolished. Queen is Dead, obviously amazing. Floodland by Sisters of Mercy is still, I think, one of the best records I've ever heard. Uh, Loveless. These are pretty popular records. I actually only heard Godspeed You Black Emperor a year ago for the first time, but they're amazing too. I mean, it's interesting to me. I tend to listen to the same stuff a lot, and when I'm in the car, stuff like that, I don't listen to music. I listen to NPR or podcasts, stuff like that, because that's how I get my news. So those records for me are things I constantly revisit and really appreciate. There are a lot of hardcore records too, actually, from when like Cave In and like Beyond Hyperthermia. Fuck, you know what I mean? Or Jupiter, even that, fucking amazing. Um, and Minor Threat, I was fucking in love with Minor Threat. And still, they're still amazing. Okay, Kyle Hogan asks, how did you/do you feel about the impact you have apparently had on the black gay scene, namely that compilation of artists like Some Devoured Earth, Ayers, Aseta, Mackenzie, etc., covering songs from Death Consciousness? Um, First of all, yeah, amazing. I mean, it's crazy because I feel like I don't do a good job of expressing how little I expect from the music I release, and I still feel like everything we ever do, or everything I ever do and put out, I'm still waiting for people to suddenly realize that I'm just a complete fraud and I have no idea how to play my instruments and whatever. Um, so, I mean, to have people who are making awesome music on their own be influenced by us or at least like our music, that's awesome. The goal of Enemies List was to spread the idea of home recording labels, home recorded bands, to spread that as a genre, and the fact that it seems to be getting picked up by at least a group of really amazing people, like the people behind Music Ruins Lives uh, and Sunyata recordings, and it just is amazing to me. And I mean, to be clear, I expected that to happen without us. That was a trend I think is still happening, is still coming, and will only get more intense or more extreme as time goes on. This whole home recording thing, that's the wave of the future as far as I'm concerned. That doesn't really have anything to do with us. But anytime someone says they're influenced by us, or they, that we help them to do that stuff on their own, that's the best part of what we do, and I really appreciate it. The Death Conscious covers are amazing, by the way. They're all better than we are. Ryan Bridges asks, what's your favorite OST and why the Space Jam OST? Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. Why the Space Jam? Why not? Space Jam was a great movie. It's interesting. I was going through my CDs the other day, like old CDs that are just like in the closet, and I haven't really popped a CD in anywhere in a really long time, and I found the OST from the Neon Genesis Evangelion movies, the ones where it's like all fucked up at the end, and it's just like quick cuts, and there's no story, and the world ends and everyone dies at the end, and I popped it in, and it's really interesting. It's just really short pieces of cello and violin. That's it. And I remember thinking that was awesome. Not that I really watch anime, but anyway, I was a Japanese major. I don't know if I ever told anybody that, but I majored in Japanese and history in my undergrad. Cal Chuchesta asks, Dan, do you love me? Yes, I do. And I kind of want to rest my face on your mustache and sleep there. Awesome. That was the best. Ryan Hoffman asks, would you ever consider contributing to one of my shitty, unimportant musical projects? I will always consider contributing to anything for any reason. I'm very open to working with people and doing stuff. Time is my major constraint at this point, and I don't have any. And I already don't do enough of the stuff I really need to do. But I'm always open to stuff. And, I'll be honest, if I just don't have time, I'll say I don't have time. I won't say I'll do it and then not do it. But send me stuff. Send me stuff. I love hearing new stuff. Mitchell Stemple asks, do you ever listen to your own albums after you release them for recreation enjoyment? I listen to my own music all the time. All the time. All the time meaning probably like once a week. I will listen to stuff I've already written. I wouldn't say it's for enjoyment or recreation. I listen to that stuff very critically. And a lot of time I listen to it to try to reconnect to a certain mood or a certain piece of music or a certain style. I'm working on recording new Have a Nice Life stuff now. So I'm revisiting the old stuff to kind of get a sense of where we've been, because there's a lot of time in between those recordings. Yeah, I don't know if I enjoy it. I do listen to it a lot. And I do get excited when I feel like a song that I wrote or played on, I get really excited when I feel like it works. I feel like that's really awesome. But I don't really listen to it just like to jam out. People say jam out. I just said it, so. Okay, Scott, I bathe and pony cum. Matsumoto asks, how exactly were you able to go on about working on your project Giles Corey while being severely depressed, and how exactly did you funnel your feels? There you go, feels. That was supposed to, anyway. How exactly did you funnel your feels into it? There's more, so I'll deal with that one first. How's I able to go on about working? So Giles Corey was recorded and conceived over a very long period of time. So if you've ever been really depressed, you know that you're really unable a lot of the time to do things. For me, I would be up and down, and during the up times, I would really want to get that stuff out and make it into songs and make it into material. And I tend to be kind of manic. I tend to get really into a project, and that's all I want to do, and then to just completely fall off. And that's kind of why it takes me so long to finish stuff. But just a little bit at a time, and then when everything is kind of ready to be put together, a lot of editing and a lot of cutting and making sure that things kind of fit, and so you kind of have a lot of pieces that have come to fruition over a long period of time, and then you find a way to make them go together in a way that's hopefully cohesive and makes sense. How exactly did you funnel your feels into it? Giles Court. My dogs are barking. I don't know if you can tell, if you can hear. Giles Corey is a very literal. Is a very literal record. I'm gonna see what my dogs want. Okay, you hold on just 1 second. Hey guys, cut it out! Come on, Sloan, come here. Come on, what are you doing? Come on. All right, relax. Come here. Relax. Whoa! This is my dog. We have 3 dogs. This is one of the dogs. get down. Anyway, I mean, Giles Corey is a very back to talking about suicide. Giles Corey is a very literal record. It's not a whole lot of obfuscation of what's going on with me in those songs. It's pretty much you can take it as it is. So it's pretty direct translation. Um, did you sample stuff yourself, or did you sample from other places like films and shit? And Giles Corey self-titled, i.e., the avant-garde breakdown of the Haunting Presence, the random discussions going on in the background. Was that you and some woman or a random sample? Some of the samples are from other stuff. There's some samples from the Ghost Orchid, which is an amazing record of EVP recordings. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's very awesome. There are some samples from other things like it's kind of TV shows and some samples from what was that TV show? There used to be a TV show where it was like all spooky stuff, and this is back in the day. I want to say it's Signs, but it's not Signs. It's I forget, but some stuff like that, and then some stuff that I did myself, like the talking during the Haunting Presence is stuff I recorded myself. There's some stuff that we got just recording dead air. And some samples that are looped and stuff like that. He says, also, I'm too gay to get a PayPal, but is the book truly essential to appreciate it to its fullest? It's not necessary. I mean, I don't think you need to read the book to appreciate the record. But the record was conceived as being part of a package with a book. To me, the book and the record are the same thing, right? So for me, I can't separate what's in the book from what's in the record. I spent equal amounts of time, sorry, the computer's going to sleep. I spent equal amounts of time writing and recording, and the two are very intertwined for me. Many of the songs started as not poems, but like written out lyrically first. So, the two are part of the same thing for me. I mean, do you have to buy the record, or do you have to buy the book? No. But there's more to the experience. So if you get a chance, check it out. I'll be putting up. I know you said it. I mean, it's a lot of money. I completely admit that because they're expensive to make. But I will be putting up a digital copy of Giles Corey soon, soonish when I get to it, and that will have a PDF of the booklet. So that'll be $5, and then you can get it for $5. Vladimir DeVries. I'm bad at pronouncing. What is your favorite color and why? Favorite color is black. Black and blue and brown. Those are the only colors I ever wear. So black is my favorite. It goes with everything. It looks cool. Like Johnny Cash says, I'm a man in black. That's how it works. It's just good. It's a good color. Austin Drake asks, if the golems from Earthmover had anything to say besides "We wish we were dead," what do you think we could learn from them? It's a good question. That song, I really picture it being this kind of like dystopian future where you kind of built these huge things that do all our work and kind of do the heavy lifting and are physically moving pieces of Earth around. And it's kind of, I didn't really think about this when I was writing it, but after having listened to it, for several years, it kind of occurs to me that it's an accurate sort of metaphor for factory farming, which I'm not a vegetarian, but I was for a really long time. And factory farming and the kind of industrial production of animals and all that kind of stuff is really weird to me and really interesting. And I think they would probably say a very similar thing to what animals would say, which is, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Which is a really good question. Shane Shakes Vehoski asks, "Would you cover No Scrubs by TLC for a future Have a Nice Life release? Perhaps the Christmas album?" It's so funny. I literally had No Scrubs stuck in my head for like a week, a couple weeks ago. Um, no, probably not. Sorry. It's just, I couldn't. I have nothing to bring to that song. It's already perfect. Do you remember the No Pigeons, which was like the answering song by like the three dudes, and they had like sort of a war there? You remember that? Nobody ever talks about No Pigeons. Anyway, Austin Drake asks, oh, I asked that question already. All right. Nick Finlayson asks, "Why am I so cool?" I don't know, man. Genetics or upbringing? Probably a combination of both. You probably had parents that praised you when you did cool stuff, and they punished you when you did uncool stuff. And you probably already genetically primed. The pump was primed, so to speak, for cool to come gushing out. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Ivan Lupercio. "What are your top 10 albums of all time?" I, I don't know, man. Top 10 albums in terms of like influential on me, or top 10 albums of like albums that are actually amazing. I mean, I keep mentioning Nevermind is like a really influential record on me, but is it one of the top 10 records of all time? Probably not. I mean, I don't even think it's as good as Bleach or In Utero. Um, yeah, and I never know how to answer this question. Um, Definitely not anything we've ever done. Get that out of the way. Sorry, I have a better answer for that. I couldn't even tell you what my favorite book is, and I read all the time. I don't keep memories of stuff. I'm horrible at this game. Alaric Powell asks, "What was your initial reaction to Muse?" And this was MU. Muse seemingly utter devotion to death consciousness. I don't. Crazy. It's crazy. I really like. I've seen a couple times where people keep saying, I don't know, it's kind of a joke, but like that I post death consciousness on Mule all the time, which is amazing. But I never post it anywhere, and most of the time I'm just really obsessed with like how I'm gonna pay my bills. Uh, anyway, it's awesome. It's awesome. Mew is pretty rad, and the Facebook version is pretty rad as well. So that's the end of the questions. Thank you guys very much for letting me do this. I hope I wasn't too weird and awkward. Uh, Anthony Fantano made this look really easy, and in actuality, it's very difficult. So he's also bigger than I am. I have more hair, just kind of in general. Um, so I don't know how I stack up, but I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much. And keep on keeping on. All right, bye guys.